What we have been hearing, we heard both the speakers' excellent speeches. They highlighted a lot of points, but mine will be slightly different from the perspective of finance and economics. I am not going to touch upon the points which were already discussed. Some of the points are quite common, but my focus will be on finance and economics. So before it comes, I'll just give a general thing. This topic is more relevant even today, as it was mentioned by Mr. Krishnan. Though it was written so many years back, it does not have a date stamp. It does not mention anywhere that it belongs to this era or this period. Being a chartered accountant, I had an opportunity to discuss with the council. We have a lot of standards, auditing standards, accounting standards. Just because a chartered accountant, my orientation was towards that. Dr. Kameshwari of KSRI, she asked me to do the research in this because of the reason, one of the reasons that I am in finance. So when I was reading that, the entire focus was from the standards. So when I asked the council members and also the past presidents of the institute, since 1949 it has been there, since 1982 we have been having standards. They said we have not heard a thing like this. Maybe they did not have the opportunity, but when I looked at it from the angle of that, so many matches. How the frauds which was mentioned just now 40, I will also be elaborating how the 40 types are. We have a separate standard on frauds and errors, which was discussed by Kautilya so many years back. These people did not see that Arthasastra, nor he was knowing this institute. So many matches we could not even imagine how it had happened. When I mentioned it at the institute, they said, oh, madam, please translate and give. Then I just gave them also the thing. So many things we can take. Coming to the thing, as already mentioned, 15 chapters are there main. So what we are going to cover, what I am going to cover also is getting covered in all the chapters invariably. Because he emphasizes on wealth, he emphasizes on economics, he emphasizes on trade. Whatever chapter he takes, definitely the word economics somewhere or the other it can be found. Of course, it is also the manner in which we are able to see that. So, when we take any trade for that matter, there are so many departments existing, so many wings existing. This is the picture which was created from the definitions or the meanings available from Arthasastra. Sir was also starting his speech with Sastra, Vastu Sastra, where a lot of dimensions had been given in Arthasastra. From that I could recollect this. So the concept of dharma, the righteousness, moral, what is morality, what is right, encompasses rich tradition of our ethics. That's why we are respected everywhere, to whichever country we go. Of course, when I visit other countries, they are unable to pronounce my name. I am called Bharat. I was just confused. Then they said, you are having this, maybe that kungumam, that shows that you follow your ethics, you follow your culture. So our ethics and culture, they are respected everywhere. That Indian heritage philosophy has shaped the spiritual and intellectual concepts. Not only the spiritual, but also the intellectual concepts for thousands of years, governing all aspects of life. Here all aspects refers to psychology, sociology, finance, economics, mental happiness, physical health, everything together. So it covers all the things, variously interpreted as duty, morality, and social responsibility. Social responsibility is also emphasized upon. Disaster recovery management, one slide came, where it says what are the responsibility for every human being in case of any disaster which comes. We cannot keep quiet. We cannot say, I do not know. So that social responsibility is also mentioned. It is central to Indian ethics. In the philosophy inspires and guides seekers of the truth around the world. It is not referring to any particular place. Nowhere it is mentioned it is from India or it is from this place, that place. Of course, with other maybe available information, we determine that it is here. It is a quite common one, just like Bhagavad Gita, which does not say which belongs to which religion, like that also. Just I'll share one information. Yesterday I had an opportunity to discuss about this with another person, not of the same religion. They mistook it as if it is a religious text or God-related text. She is an mathematics professor, double PhD. Then I told her, no, it is nothing related to any religion or God. So there have been lot of misunderstandings on seeing these words like dharma. They think it's only maybe that Hindu culture which speaks about it. Everywhere it is there. Everywhere we have to be right, whichever religion we follow. Then the science or sastra of dharma is dharma sastra, Indian heritage literature. I am not covering all these things in detail because I have more content to talk about. Variety of treatises on duties and ethics. It's very vast. It is praised in Vedas. Sir explained really well how it is having an impact of that heritage culture. He took a lot of examples which were very, very interesting. So it has a connection with that. And also he made a mention, this Arthasastra, it is only a generic word about finance. But it is very popular when we say Arthasastra, Kautilya. People do not know that the word was, people means right from school days, we didn't know all these things. We studied in 4th standard history. What is this Kautilya's Arthasastra? Something like that, 1 or 2 sentences. But that was existing in Ramayana, Mahabharata, everywhere. Even Shanti Parva, Mr. Krishnan was putting a slide on that. So everywhere it comes, it's a generic one, generic term. But what we refer here is the specific one by Kautilya. There is dedicated discussion of dharma in smritis or text, which codify remembered tacit knowledge, such as the Yajnavalkya Smriti and Manusmriti. Even Mr. Krishnan quoted one of the few things, and that was very relevant as well. Artha. This is finance. Sir started with that. In the second stanza of his information itself was having this, material well-being alone is supreme, says Kautilya. Whatever you have, that's fine. You have a psychological backup, this, that, everything. But definitely even in our life, we want material well-being. Without that, we cannot think of any even spiritual things. When I am very hungry, I don't think I'll be able to think of God. I want some money to take care of myself, to take care of my family. So material well-being alone is supreme, says Kautilya. Artha mulohi dharma kama vidhi. Spiritual good and sensual pleasures depend on material well-being. Definitely, this is a general one from Arthasastra. Maybe when we are asked, this particular group are asked, we may say, I don't want this wealth and all, I want only spiritual thing. But that is a specific community's feeling. Community in the sense, groups feeling. But generally we want that material well-being. Material well-being, spiritual good, and sensual pleasures. Even the sensual pleasures is defined in different manner. So many things are involved in that. But for everything we want that material well-being, which is artha. Of course, previous slides shown by Mr. Krishnan had all these things. And totally it is consisting of 60,000 slokas roughly. 180 sections are there, 150 chapters are there, 15 books are there, and totally it becomes that particular text, Arthasastra. Easy to learn, not very tough. In fact, when I started this, much knowledge was not there. Now, even people, those who do not know Sanskrit also, they speak about it. I attended maybe a meeting where they spoke about it, they didn't know Sanskrit. Then I asked, how did you manage? They said, we read the English translation. Maybe how far it is right or wrong, we are not going to discuss. If we have Sanskrit knowledge, it will be very easy to interpret and we will understand it in a correct manner. So, anyway, it is quite easy. Understand precise in doctrine. That 1:19, what is, the first one is the book, second one is the chapter, that last number is the sloka or verse number. Many of you may be knowing, but as a formality, I just mentioned that. The economic foundation of the state. Without this artha, no state can survive in the sense. It is not only for survival, even to improve ourselves. Little later the definition comes. What we come across in that financial management. Procuring finance, that is right. But not only procuring, that has to be rather properly managed as well. That formulation of the financial plans. Formulation is not sufficient. In strategic management, we come across implementation. So same thing, like it introduces artha as a foundational concept. It analyzes the core argument of the Arthasastra. Political power is built on artha. When we do not have artha, there is no point being a political leader or political state. That is wealth, material well-being and economic prosperity. Bank balance is there, but we are unable to use that balance, means what is the use? There has to be a prosperity in economic activities. That prosperity, that is again a generic word. But it has to be from the state, and the state has to improve itself in all aspects of that. Asserts that a powerful state is sustained by a thriving economy and sound public finance. Definitely policies should be right, they should be sound, and sound public finance policies only will be able to take the state forward further. Kautilya quotes, without a full treasury, not even the word treasury, many adjectives are there. With adjectives, if you see the word, it gives a very beautiful meaning. Without a full treasury, the army cannot be maintained. For maintaining the army, a separate topic is there. Army, we want real treasury, and the kingdom is vulnerable. If you don't have the full treasury, the kingdom cannot sustain for a long time. It is very vulnerable one. It is his finance focus. It is called the science of politics by Kautilya. His focus is on augmenting, enhancing, improving, and the safeguarding of the treasury, not only creating, safeguarding as well, which is described as the ornament of for the earth. Everything else, including the army, comes from treasury. Treasury, finance department, even in Indian politics or any politics for that matter, finance minister plays a very big important role. So finance, everything else including the army comes from the treasury. When one has an army, even the enemy becomes friendly. See the last 2 points given, when one has a good army, that is a wealth. Even the other kings for that matter, even if he is an enemy, he becomes our friend because we are rich. Even in our practical life, same thing happens. Many of us would have come across many people that once the person becomes rich, many relatives will come. So next point is, science of politics is science of economics. Presents Kautilya explicit definition of Arthasastra. He quotes, the source of the livelihood of men is wealth. In other words, the earth populated by people. Not only the simple earth, sir mentioned it. Not only the ordinary land, the land which is populated with people. Why it is populated? See, only when people are there, there is a possibility to generate finance. Simply keeping the land which is of no use. Mr. Krishnan's one of the slides had this. Simply having a land which is uncultivatable, what is the use? So, that is the populated by people. The science which is the means of the attainment and the protection of that earth is the science of politics. I have not given the Sanskrit codes here, but in my article they are given. So the person, he always reads and codifies how that state has to be. 4 essential sciences of statecraft. It establishes the intellectual importance what Kautilya placed on economics, identifies Varta. This word was mentioned very much by both the speakers earlier. They handled it very, very nicely in a very understandable manner. Economics, Varta, as one of the 4 essential sciences alongside, what are the other 3? Philosophy, Vedas and politics. Along all the 3, along with these 3, Varta is also considered to be, in fact he says in one of the places, Varta is the only thing which has to be considered to be the highest having power. He defines Varta as agriculture, cattle rearing and trade. Trade also comes in different places, right from taxation. Everywhere it comes, right from administration till the collection of tax. Everywhere the word trade is used much. Explains its function as yielding grains, cattle, money, forest produce and labor. 1.4.1, that sloka has the meaning of this particular one. It is the engine of state power, main engine. It analyzes the strategic role of Varta in statecraft. There is a quote. Through them the king brings under his sway. Yes, when he has good money and good army, he brings everything under his control. Even the enemy is under his control. So, through them the king brings under his sway his own party, Swapaksha and also Parapaksha, as well as the party of the enemies by the use of the treasury and the army. Connects Varta directly to the 2 instruments of power, Kosha and the army. Sir also mentioned this Danda, and Danda means normally we may think in Hindi Danda, but not that alone. It covers so many meaning like defense, army, policing, everything together. It illustrates that economic activity is the indispensable tool for projecting political power. Definitely we cannot avoid economics. Without that nothing is possible, so we cannot rule that out. The social contract escaping the law of the fishes. Both the speakers said that of course whoever is having more power, he tries to take the full thing under his control, but that does not happen totally. We have regulators, market regulators. Introduces Kautilya's theory on the origin of the state. Explains the concept of Matsya or the law of the fishes, a state of anarchy where the strong devour the weak. That is, recounts the parable, people choose a king Manu to escape this chaos. Yes, it is coming as a very big phrase, and people that is Manu wanted to collect tax. People then thought, we will give you, but you protect us. So it is said that collecting tax is not, of course it's a divine one in the sense it is to protect the subjects in return. Simply collecting tax and keeping it with us without protecting people, that cannot be considered. It establishes the state's primary purpose to provide security and order. With the collected tax, these people have to take care of the subjects, these people have to take care of the society. So that should be done. Simply collecting tax from us and not providing the social security to us, that is not right. This is what that one small thing I just added for the previous slide. It is a contractual fee for protection. I give you tax, it's a contract that you please take care of me. Frames taxation not as a divine right, but as a payment for services rendered. And also in many places, many countries for that matter, they doesn't ask for the rights, but they pay the tax also. And about our country, I cannot mention it here. Whether we pay or not is a different one. But in many places, separately they don't pay. Everything is already deducted like TDS. Then only the net comes to the hand. So definitely everyone pays and everyone is demanding their rights as well as a security. Details the original taxes agreed upon by the people in the social contract. It specifies the rates. Yes, 1/6 of the grains, every one of us mentioned, it is generic. But it differs also in some places. Normally it is 1/6 of the grains, mostly in agricultural related things, 1/10 of commodities. So for commodities, other commodities, other than agricultural goods, it's 1/10, that is 10%. And money, this money is interpreted as like profits and gains of business and profession, we say. Like that it is interpreted. So when I get 10,000 rupees, I have to pay 1/10 of that as a tax. It is a generic one. Highlights the justification. This payment is in return for the king, guaranteeing the security. The king cannot escape from his responsibilities. He is accountable. Not only responsible, he is accountable as well. So, guaranteeing their security and well-being, yogakshem. Welfare principle is king's foundational duty. He cannot think for his welfare. He cannot think for his desire. Whatever is good for people is good for the king himself. Whatever is bad for others, even if it is good for the king, he cannot execute that. So, presents the core principles of the Kautilyan welfare state. In the happiness of the subjects lies the happiness of the king. And what is beneficial to the subjects is his own benefit. If it is beneficial to the subject, that becomes the benefit to him. He cannot have the other way. The contradicting things cannot happen. It's not possible. This is 1.19.34. Contrast the king's interest with the subject's interest. What is dear to himself is not beneficial to the king. He may like something, but that may not be a beneficial one. But what is dear to the subjects is beneficial to him. So these 2 points can be highlighted, that what is beneficial to the society, what is beneficial to the state, that only has to be executed. The king, the first part, that is, he also made a mention, the training to king and how he has to be trained, how he has to schedule his work in all those. That also it is highly mentioned right from the childhood. Maybe the prince, he is taught everything is the society. You are not separately existing. Your existence itself is with the society. He argues that the entire economic framework is built on this principle of shared interest. So, coming to the next point, treasury. As my topic is finance, this is kosher. Without treasury, in Tamil Karuvulam we say, without that nothing can be done. But nowadays we do not deposit maybe that animals or something like that. Everything is tagged with currency. But on those days it was not like that. They were also in kind. So, in the Tamil Tirukkural, இயற்றலும் ஈட்டலும் காத்தலும் காத்த வகுத்தலும் வல்லது அரசு. Not only காத்தல், that should be divided also வகுத்தல். It has to be, when it should be divided, not at the ease or at the likings of the king, when it is required. Maybe it gives a big list, a disaster. During the disaster management, how it has to be handled. So, this is the Tamil Tirukkural, meaning he is a king who is able to acquire. Financial management students, they also know, procure the finance. Acquire the wealth, to lay it up and also to guard and to distribute it. Of course, we can even include, in case of need, when it has to be distributed, again it is given, but anyway I took this couplet. Interestingly, the homepage of Department of Treasuries and Accounts of Government of Tamil Nadu has this couplet on the top. Arthasastra begins chapter 8 of book 2 with these bold messages for the king. All undertakings are dependent first on treasury, therefore he should look to the treasury first. All undertakings, these people also had PSU. Though the name was not PSU, government owned organizations. So, government owned, for others also, everything is under the king's control, and king should look into the treasury first. It is the lifeblood of the kingdom. Without treasury, the kingdom cannot survive. Introduces the kosha or treasury. as the central pillar of the Kautilyan state, emphasizes its role as the essential fuel. Without fuel, how the machine can run? So without treasury, nothing is possible. So it becomes the fuel for all state functions, from administration to warfare. Warfare, separate thing is there, when to go for war, when to sit quietly, when to support others, when to wait and go for war. So even for each and everything, they require treasury. Kosha Mulohi Dandan. The army is rooted in the treasury. That is given in 8.1.47. Explains the need for a systematic and diversified revenue model. The revenue model is not from one source. It is coming from different sources. Even for boat savari, there is a tax. Even for crossing a place, there is a tax. For fetching water, there is a tax. So it is collected from different, diversified. It explains the need for a systematic and diversified revenue model to ensure the treasury is always full. So this is the treasury, and also many people are guarding, or many people take part, and also the coins are seeming to be, they are called pana, that is made up of silver with a copper component. So there are many revenue sources, but 4 sources I have taken. Revenue source 1, land, from land, rashtram. Identifies the agriculture as the agriculture. It had a separate big division. In every country, agriculture is having a very importance from government side as well. In fact, Tamilnadu Agricultural University has done a lot. Of course, every university might have done. Why I mentioned TNAU is the first agricultural university. So they have done a lot on this agricultural research and of agricultural produce. So but of course, having been in income tax for quite some time, maybe as a practical one, agricultural income was not taxed for some time. So people used to convert all the other things into agriculture. Then they made some provisions. But anyway, it is not totally out of no tax. Details the principal land tax, the Shadbhaga or 1/6 share of agricultural produce. It explains additional income sources, state-owned crown lands. Government had, that is the king, in the sense government had its own land. They also cannot be left as such. They have to be cultivated. So from that also, that's what nowadays we have, that PSU, state-owned, or state PSUs are there, central PSUs are there. So managed by, that is agricultural things, state-owned crown lands managed by Director of Agriculture. 2 heads are coming, one is Director, one is Superintendent. The slight variation is there in the sense, whichever was a bigger one, they have used the word Director. Whichever was slightly, not inferior as such, maybe in the magnitude or in the quantity, they have used the word Superintendent. But in the English translation, both have the same meaning. That's what is given. Highlights the sophisticated water rates. For water also, when we fetch water, the tax is there, but it depends on how we fetch. Suppose it is the river and I take it and drink it, the rate is different. And I take it in a part and shoulder, the rate is different. And when I use mechanical things, machines to take water, the rate is different. That's what 1/5 to 1/3 we have given. Another one, 1/4 is also there. That is 20%, 25%, 33.33%. 3 categories. Highlights the sophisticated water rates, Udaga Bhaga, with the taxes calibrated to the method of taking the water. Revenue source 2 is trade and commerce. It outlines the well-developed system of customs and toll, shulka. And next is, it identifies the official responsible, the shulka dhyaksha, collector of customs and tolls. That second one is really very, very lengthy. It covers second and third, both are very lengthy. It covers lot of areas which can be even applied today. But we have to see that from that perspective. When we simply read like a newspaper, we may not be able to take anything. We may think what it covers. Many college professors, I do go to colleges and deliver lectures on this. Many HODs have asked me, Madam, how did you identify all these things? I said, it is there. I have not found out anything. It is there. I am just reading it and matching it. So many areas, metallurgy is there, gold, separate thing is there. Gold, metallurgy, agriculture, forest, elephant types, management of elephants, management of horses, management of chariots. If one has a interest towards all these things, one can read like a story also, at least for knowledge sake. Though not Sanskrit, English translation, or sir also mentioned Tamil translation, I have also seen that. That also can be read just for our knowledge sake. So many things have been included in that. It explains the variable tax rates based on commodity type. That's what I made a mention in the beginning, that 10%, 6%, whatever is said is generic, general. But it varies also, just like our present income tax. One rate is there, but it is slightly variable depending on the issues or depending on other allowances, admissible expenses, non-admissible expenses, like that. So many categories are there. Here also they are there. Provides examples, rate from 1/6 for valuable items like flowers, and 1/20th or 1/25th for textiles and grain. Textile has been given a big importance in that. Especially, he gave a good example after independence, how that thing was there. So textile, very, very highly important. So, and people are given that cotton to do the cloth or the thing at home. When it is deteriorated in quality, the finger is gone. When the quantity is less, another big punishment. And it goes, that punishment category, separate topic is possible, but it will not be very interesting to listen. It will be very cruel in the sense, in the punishments used to be very, very stringent. Very heavy punishments. So that textiles part, first time when I was reading, I was working in a textile mills. So all those things I could correlate and see, this much cotton is given, this much. But he is giving allowance also. For everything he gives an allowance. That evaporation is possible, wastage is possible, or while doing the process 1, process 2, process 3, from first process to second process, there may be a gain like this, there may be a loss like this. Everything is mentioned, but we got to read and find it out, where it is hidden. Revenue source 3 is PSU. This public sector undertaking, of course, after 1962 only this phrase has become very common in India, but maybe we coined the thing, but the meaning of PSU is the same. Public sector, that is, which is government owned. Positions the Kautilyan state as an active economic agent. It becomes one of the main agents. Identifies key sectors where the state maintained monopolies or near monopolies. 4 things are given. Lavana, even today it is similar to that. Of course, for salt, customs duty was, this manufacturing thing was not there for many long time. Now that, of course, the rules have been changed. That excise duty was not there for salt. To give respect to that Dandi march, we did not have that. PSU, even today, that mines are under the government control. So 4 units they have said, even liquor for that matter. So they have given all the 4 which are under their control. Same 4 are mentioned, which I have given in my article as well. Major sources like mine, forest, Kupya, one visual was, that is the picture was shown, salt production, lavana, and liquor manufacture. So all the 4, they were having it only as a PSU, only government owned. Private people did not have the right to start them. Notes that each enterprise was overseen by a dedicated superintendent. I made a mention. Some places they say director, some places they say superintendent. Superintendent becomes a post type. Like many superintendents may be there, but many directors thing is not visible, not openly known, only for main areas. 4th one is, I have taken it as miscellaneous, demonstrate the comprehensive nature of the state's revenue collection. It lists a wide array of other income streams. Many other streams are given. It includes fines for civil and criminal offences. It includes fees for services like coin verification. The coin, which, so very rare chance to have a fake currency there. Because every currency which has to go into the treasury as a tax or fine. They have to be first authentic, they have to be checked first. For that also one fee is collected. So they will be checked, then only it can enter into the treasury. So that also, the checking part also becomes a revenue to the, rather the government. Includes fees for services like coin verification and use of state ferries. So in these places, some examples only I have taken, it goes as a big list. Bureaucracy built for economic management. It introduces the administrative machinery that brought the economic policies to life. Without economic policy, even the existence of life is a big question mark. References in book 2 of Arthasastra, the activity of the heads of the departments, Adhyaksha Pracharaha. So that covers many areas where finance is also one of the chapters. It covers 3 to 4 chapters, how important finance is. That can be compared to C&AG audit. I made a presentation, Controller and Auditor General of India, their expenses and these expenses long back in Kautilya. I made a presentation that was possible to be done, government accounting. I took a topic, so today's, 5-6 years back. So 6 years back, what the government accounting was, that could be compared with Kautilya's Arthasastra. So many things were common. Highlights the system of specialized superintendents for every facet of the economy. Frames the bureaucracy as a tool for documentation, control and resource management. Of course, when we want security, we have to have control. When we want control, we have to have rules and regulations. All the 3 will follow one after another. Rules and regulations, then security, then only the control. Or the control and security can be slightly interchanged, but rules and regulations should exist. Then only there is a question of control, then of course the security. Collector General, Samahatra, data scientist. How come he collects all the data? It is just like our income tax department and RBI. 2 things are discussed. One is the collecting point. Another one is the managing. Income tax department does not manage the funds, it only collects the funds. Just an example I am taking, that's all. In every state also there will be so many state level. State level treasury will be there, state level collection revenue department will be there. Identifies Samhatra as the chief revenue officer for the kingdom. Explains the primary duty as creating a comprehensive economic map of the state. From whom to collect, when to collect, what to collect. So they should have a proper census for this. The census register, of course, Government of India also keeps talking about it, but that had all the, rather the work, that land and also including all the relatives, their caste, whatever the bifurcations given, everything used to be in that list. Details the census data collected, village boundaries, land use, population by caste and profession, livestock and total revenue potential for each household. Few years back, Government of India also introduced your estimated income. They themselves gave a form, but it did not exist for a very long time. My estimated income based on my already existing income sources that projected. So like that they gave. Details the census data collected, village boundaries, land use, population by caste and other things. It compares this to a Mauryan era domestic book enabling data-driven governance. The domestic book is a later one, but this was 2000 years back. At that time itself the same details were available. Then treasurer, he is the guardian. Just that's what I mentioned, income tax and RBI. Defines the Samnidatra as the chief custodian of the state's accumulated wealth. Lists his responsibilities, managing the treasury, state warehouse, granary and armory. Highlights the emphasis on integrity and control in his role. Integrity, that honesty. How the person has to be very honest. It was also mentioned in a previous page. If one is not honest, entire thing is gone. If one is honest, lot of promotions are awaiting. So, Gives an example, all cash had to be officially verified by the examiner of coins before being accepted into the treasury. For this only a coin fee will be there. So if I want to make a payment to the treasury, I have to make a payment for verification of coin and also my share to government. That's what is given in the last one. Director of Trade, Panyadaksha, market regulator. Sometimes what happens, the market is not regulated. One day the price goes up, the other day price comes down. These people give 1,000 reasons for that. Whether right or not, we citizens do not know what these people say is right or not. But there is a market regulator, Panyadaksha, who rather manages all these aspects. That's what presents the Panyadaksha as the state's chief market regulator, outlines his duties, overseeing, supervising. Overseeing trade of state goods, stabilizing prices and preventing hoarding. Hoarding was not allowed. And if anything is hoarded and it is identified, the entire thing will be seized and also a penalty will be there. So the next point underscores the mandate for public welfare. State goods should be sold only to the favor of the subjects. It is given Prajanam Anugrahena. For prajanam, for the people, whatever is good, that only should be done, not otherwise. It prohibits any profit that would be aupagahatikam, injurious, negative factors, which is injurious to the health in the sense financial health, injurious to the financial health of the citizens, that should not be done. Injurious to the subjects. So no hoarding, only with the just price they should be sold. Otherwise the penalty is very, very heavy. Just prices for all. Prudent expenditure and centralized accounting. I was making a mention C&AG, which is considered to be a centralized accounting. Here also centralized accounting was done. In one room everybody has to bring the book. The person one who is writing, the person one who is supervising. And these, the person one who has written and the person one who is head, independently bringing the books. Bank employees not on computerized days, those days may be knowing. One person will be having a list of cash distribution. Other clerk will be entering what all were. I am talking about 80s where computerization was not done. So these total should tally. At the evening it should tally. So here also it was like that. There should not be any discrepancy, and also it goes to that extent that these two people should not speak with one another after entering into the hall. Not even signing. So when I was reading it, maybe each one's area is different. It was very interesting to note that how much controls were existing. At least there will be a fear. If it is identified, I am gone. So at least for that sake, the mind will think, no, let me not do all these things. It established that Kautilya focused as much on managing expenditure as on collection. Only based on collection, expenditure should be there. Or if there is an emergency that your expenditures are more, you increase the collection. How to increase the collection? During disaster period, they used to have special duties, ad hoc collection. They used to make an announcement, Mr. A, who is a VIP, Mr. A has given 1 lakh, maybe on those days, maybe 10 or 20, whatever number. Then others will think, oh, A has given this much, I will also give. That was the tactics used by these people. So, have the expenditure within your income sources, or in case your expenditures are likely to be more, you try to increase the, that is not covered in the slide, but it comes in other areas of the text. List the primary categories of state expenditure. Royal household, the palace has to be maintained. Even here in government we say that there maybe the minister's houses or the prime minister's houses, the expenditure would be really more. Bureaucracy, salaries, army and public works. These public works include bridge construction also, which was made a mention. Introduces the Akshapadala. This is the accounts office, where accounts details are maintained and where they are verified. There are separate individuals available for verifying all those things. A centralized records and audit office. Now we have that C&AG office that can be compared to this particular audit office. It explains its function like maintaining detailed ledgers for all transactions. Manufacturing, maybe cost accountants may be knowing, or commerce people may be knowing, others also would know that raw material, how much has come in, material which has come in, material used, how much has been lost, how much has gone as a wastage, all the registers would be available. To ensure financial supervision and also accountability. This accountability is also a word which keeps coming everywhere, not only responsibility, answerability as well. If something goes wrong, you answer why it has gone wrong. I am not going to catch hold of you if something goes wrong, but give me the reason why it has gone wrong. What was the reason for that? Pragmatic view of corruption. This was already touched upon. I have also interestingly included the same thing. When something is positioned in the tongue, it is not possible not to taste. Like that, government, when somebody is involved in finance, it is very, very rare, or it is not possible not to touch the funds. I just go say the next segment also of this. Kautilya says, it is sometimes, it's not possible, but anyway he makes that comparison. It is sometimes possible to find out the bird's route in the sky. Sometimes, not possible, anyway. It's used like that. But it is not possible to identify how the people, those who are involved in finance, they mishandle the money. You can never even expect how it is possible. So 2000 years back itself, he has, he had an insight saying that it is very, very impossible to identify all those things. That is where a separate PhD is possible in that 40 different types of embezzlement techniques. That's what I made a mention. Now we talk about all those things that is found in Arthasastra, which was written so many years back. The problem is that we never touch the old thing and see. That was mentioned earlier. We feel only what is said here is correct. Okay, what is said here, from where did they come? They came from British law. Okay, for them also this could have been, I say it was, could have been one of the reasons, because everything we are able, everything in the sense, the things would have got to change according to the environment. What was 3 pana may not be same as 3 pana, it may be 3 lakh. But the concept behind that, the view behind that is very, though not the same, similar. See the next point. Presence is famous analogy about the inevitability of temptation. Tempted. Just as it is not possible not to taste honey or poison, even if it is poison or honey, for both the same thing only, placed on the surface of the tongue. Even so, it is not possible for one dealing with the money of the king not to taste the money. We are not going to eat the money. Misappropriation, embezzlement, mishandling. There is a slight difference between error and fraud. They used to say fraud is also an error, but when you have the intention to do it, it becomes fraud. When I do it without intention, it is remaining to be an error till I come to know. But what will happen once the error is committed? Nobody is identifying that. My mind says you continue to commit that. Same thing will be continued. No one, because no one has identified that. And I am benefited financially. So when a person is handling this finance, it is very, very, but of course friends, kindly don't take all these things as such. What is given in the text? Not that everyone touches finance is taking it. If so, how many bank employees are there? How many cashiers are there? How many people we handle cash in the trust and the schools and offices? Does it mean that daily we take 5 rupees from that? Not that way. It's one of the ways in which it is possible. That's what he says. So it has to be taken with more care. Embezzlement, 40 types. And being my study is a CA, he doesn't say all these things, but he has included all these things. See the goodness in that. He has included everything. maybe the word receipts would not have been used as such for that. Maybe after so many years, receipts, payments, trading and operations. This classification 40 they had given, but I just bifurcated into 4, but I have not included in the slide nor in the article. Maybe I can forward it, anybody wants. And types of receipts while receiving the raw materials. 5 kilogram received, but I have written 4.95 or I have written 5.05. Kindly don't think that if something is overestimated, it is correct. That is also wrong. I have given you 50 rupees, I am writing 60. Oh, madam has given only 56, that's also wrong. Or I write 60 giving you 50, that is also wrong. Even in the receipt for that matter, not only in the payment. So, that quality changed, very beautifully given, especially in Sanskrit verses. Quality changed, quantity changed, time changed. How does it matter whether I collected this Monday or next Monday? It matters. Because every Friday they are supposed to close the accounts. There is one concept called teaming and lapping or teaming and ladding. I collected from one and I collected from B. I collected from B and write it as collected from C. What is the advantage? Every collection I have recorded. Yes, I have recorded. But I did not record what I collected from A. I will misuse it for 365 days. Today's parlance 365. There also from Ashada Mahina, one Purnima to another Purnima. Sometimes that Adimasa used to come. So for that a separate accounts has to be given. You should not, instead of 12 months, if it becomes 13 months, it is not possible to give 13 months accounts totally. 12 separately, 1 month separately. So just I go back because few. Embezzlement may take many forms like teaming and lapping. That's what I said, collecting it from one person, adjusting with another person. Even today, it's a very big technique used in accounts, including computerized auditing and computerized accounting. Let us not think that computer means no error. It is the collected from one person and write it as, that is technically called teaming and ladding. Understatement or overstatement of receipts, collecting it as 50, writing it as 60 or whatever it is. Accounting for unrealized income as realized. Income has not come, but I have written as if it has come. Why? Today's parlance, it is black money and white money concept. In one of our audits we came across, they have written ready-made unit expenditure. As in fact, ready-made unit itself is not there. Where is the question of expenditure? You should have a physical ready-made unit, then only you can book expenses for that. So that changing the head of income, head of expenditure is a big one. And interchanging head of income between revenue and capital items. How does it matter? Anyway, it is an expenditure in my books, right? But if it is a capital expenditure, it is the treatment is different. If it is a revenue expenditure, the treatment is different. We buy gold and writing it as monthly expenses. Or we do monthly expenses, writing it as gold. Maybe for women how it looks, I do not know, but accounts wise it is not correct. Capital and revenue expenditure should be separate because the treatment is different. So these things were interchangeably done. So embezzlement means theft or misappropriation of funds placed in one trust or belonging to one's employer, a form of white collar crime. In computer, fraudsters were called, why I say were called, now the name also, because the computer technology keeps changing all the time, white collar criminals. White collar job we have heard. In crime also see white collar criminals. Only computer fraudsters were given that name, but of course this phrase we might have added. Anyway, a form of white collar crime wherein a person or entity misappropriates the assets entrusted to him or her, defines Investopedia. A pragmatic view of corruption analyzes Kautilya's realistic and insightful approach to official malfeasance. He presents his famous analogy about the inevitability of temptation. I think it's covered. Designing a formidable system for control rather than relying on normal exhaustion. You have a proper control system. Don't be thinking this would be right, that would be right. You have a formidable system of control rather than relying on your moral exhaustion. He highlights his meticulous catalogue of 40 distinct methods of embezzlement. Whoever is interested, kindly go through that. It is available in all books, maybe that Arthasastra translation books, quite interesting. Describes the overlapping of network of controls used to deter and detect malpractices. That's what, he had a big network. That if one person commits, how the other person, that is supplementary and complementary errors we say. Like that, supplementary and complementary controls. Not that I have to supervise this person directly. Some other place I will be able to identify that this person has done something wrong. So controls were deter and detect malpractices. Specifies the methods, regular audits, spies and severe punishment. What are the qualities of spies? A big paragraph goes. Who can all be appointed? Actually, the previous culprits, they are also appointed as rather spies, because they know where something goes wrong. Actually, when we want to identify a fraud, we should know how to commit that fraud. Otherwise, we will not be able to identify where it has gone wrong. So, who all can be rather it cannot be called qualifications, who all can be appointed as a spy, a list is there. So, these people are they are discussing how to commit a fraud when no one is there, but some other person, a spy, is watching this. These people do not know that it is happening. The wealth of the state as a public trust synthesizes the core tenet of Kautilyan fiscal governance. Governance is nothing but administration. Only when you have a good policy, it can be administered. When the policy itself is not good, where is the question of administering that? Argues that the relentless focusing on accounting, auditing and anti-corruption measures severe a higher purpose. When they are very, very severe, the purpose itself is something different. Defines this purpose stating the wealth of the state as a public trust. Trust money cannot be mishandled. At least our own money we can do whatever we want. If somebody is asking, why did you do, madam, I may say, this is my money. But when others' money is in my hand, how can I misuse that? How can I misappropriate that? Especially trust means not only the trust is the common meaning given here, government money. Concludes that physical discipline ensures resources collected from the people are used honestly for the kingdom's security and prosperity. So whatever money has been collected from you people, that is the citizens, should be spent only for the kingdom's security and safety and prosperity. Strategic investment. Welfare is a big investment for the state. Presents Kautilya's view that public welfare is not just a moral duty. It is not only the duty of the government, but a tool for state stability and power. Today, when we are able to see our treasury, when we are able to see our welfare properly, it will be for tomorrow. Everywhere the board is there, no, today's difficulty or today's thing is for tomorrow's. So everything what we do today is for the tomorrow's one. It frames welfare policies as strategic investments in the state's most critical asset, a productive and loyal populace. Describes these policies as tools to ensure economic well-being and social safety. Again he talks about security and economic requirement and the social security. So from these words we can know how the citizens were taken care of, or how the citizens were supposed to be taken care of. What were all the policies available to see the social security? Asserts that this well-being forms the bedrock of a strong kingdom. It becomes the foundation, big foundation for a strong kingdom. Social safety net, how it, that is women should be taken care of. All people, those who are helpless, they should be taken care of. Details the state explicit duty to care the most vulnerable members of the society. Who can be vulnerable? Who is helpless, who are unable to do any work, maybe children or maybe women or people, those who do not have any, those who are unable to do any work for that matter. Many people can come under this net. It is not a strict definition. Whoever is unable to do any work or whoever is socially considered to be a backward person in the sense, maybe they are not respected for something or the other. So those people should be taken care of. The king should maintain children, aged persons and persons in distress when they are helpless. Identifies the groups covered: orphan, elderly, destitute, and certain women. In that certain women only many rather people have been included in the list. Establishes this as a clear state responsibility for a social safety net. Vulnerable women highlights the targeted measures to provide economic opportunities for women. Describes the role of superintendent of yarn. Why this particular superintendent has been mentioned here is, he gives the work to these women so that the women will be able to have a dignified life, as well as the state income also can be increased. Both double purpose will be solved because these women are helpless. So that point describes the role of superintendent of yarns. Details the state-run spinning workshop, that is the PSU, what state PSUs, providing employment to widows, crippled women, maidens, and others in difficult circumstances. See how that women were taken care of. Now Mahila Yojana, a lot of Mahila Yojanas are available. This also could have been one of them. It explains the dual purpose: increasing the state textile production while offering a dignified livelihood for marginalized women. Then fair market. Market has to be very fair. Whatever goods which have been seized, they should be sold at a reasonable price. Market regulator is there. He will determine what the price is. Outlines the state's activity intervention to protect consumer from exploitation. Otherwise, what will happen? The person who is selling will fix his own price. And these people, consumers, will be affected. Consumer Protection Act, we say. So that can be thought of at this point. Detailed specific profit caps enforced by the Director of Trade. 5% on domestic goods and 10% on foreign goods. It's a generic one again. Whatever we cannot see, when the tariff goes up, people will be using the commodity less. Whoever can afford only can buy. It was also mentioned in the commentaries so that at least certain things can be used only by some people. Let them use it. Instead of going them waste, at least they will be used. Explains the goal to prevent collusion. All the sellers together, they make a fraud, or all the buyers together also they make a fraud. I will not buy. All of us decide we will not buy, means what will happen? They will be left unsold. So they have to compromise with us. So explains the goal to prevent collusion, hoarding, and the formation of cartels. Some people together, they will form a cartel, the price will be highly fixed, and whether right or wrong, we do not know. When we are during Corona period, same thing happened to medicines. Each shop said its own price. And one was available for so many thousands in Delhi, so many other thousands in Chennai. We were helpless, we wanted to buy, means we had to buy. So like that it would happen. Notes the severe fine, 1,000 panas, for traders who conspire to manipulate prices. They can never change the prices. Disaster management, very interesting topic. When I was reading it, there are many types of disaster. It can come from epidemic, it can come from rats. Now in Mylapore, lot of rat problems because of this metro work. Mylapurians, maybe other place also it may be there, I do not know, but real big problem in buildings. The ground floor is gone in many of the places. It may be due to that pandemic, flood, fire. So he gives a list of all the calamities. How to manage that? Establishes the state as the primary institution responsible for protecting people from calamities, Pidana. Listed threats addressed such as famine. Only one I have taken, Durbhiksham. Other things are also there. Details the king's expected response in times of famine. Distribute the grains from the storage to the needy people at proper time. Because famine. I cannot say that because people should be protected first. So, details the king's expected response in time of famine. Distributing grain from the state's reserves. Whatever is kept in the reserves, they should be distributed. Initiating public work projects to provide employment. Maybe whatever the general employment required, maybe the bridge construction, road construction can be taken care of at that point of time. Maybe the raw materials are available, people are with the problems, no food, no money, everything is there. So start this Nooru Naal Vale Vaaipu Thittam is also one of them only. Not exactly during calamity, poverty. So definitely some work will be given to you. And you do this road laying, again road digging, both will come in that work anyway. Distributing grain from the state's reserves, initiating public works, organizing mass migration. Sir was making a mention. Maybe migrating a group of people from one place to another. We were discussing there, sitting there and discussing. Skillful people, even he made a mention here, skilled people. I just remembered the US visa. Some people problem, some people no problem, whatever it is. Here also this, migrate the people. In many reasons they can migrate. This also could be one of the reasons. Disaster, maybe a famine, or maybe flood. So immediately you try to evacuate all these people. So next is, this is the person selling at a correct price to people, and also ration during disaster. They have to distribute the ration. This can be matched to that. Pragmatic vision, coming towards the end. It's a pragmatic vision. Synthesizes the Arthasastra's vision of political economy, reiterates the core idea of financial health. A few years back, now it is not there in banks. Health code used to be given for bank borrowers. Health code 1, health, and also for the branches. Which bank branch is functioning properly, for that health code used to come, 1980s. So this health code is very, very important. Maybe in human environment sickness. But there also it is financial sickness. Just because my topic is finance, I took that example of banks and the borrower's health code. So reiterates the core idea, the financial health of the state and the well-being of its people are two sides of the same coin. Well-being is to be taken care of. It summarizes the key pillars: philosophical justification, diversified revenue. In one of the earlier slides also we came across diversified. Revenue is not coming only from one stream, it comes from different streams. A data-driven bureaucracy. Not just like that he decided or they decided what they wanted. For everything data was available. One of the evidences is that register ledgers maintained. How many people are in this village? How many people are there? The collection point also, 5 to 10 villages used to be maintained by a person called Gopa, who used to be the assistant for the collector and also the caretaker. So they had a lot of mechanisms. Fiscal discipline and welfare-oriented policies. All the policies should be welfare-oriented. They cannot have a policy for themselves which is injurious to the public. Public in the sense here the citizens or subjects. Characterizes the system as a blueprint for meticulously administered. His topic was administration. Meticulously it has to be done means Arthasastram is really a good text. Prosperous and welfare-oriented state. So the state must survive means unflinching realism. Adds a critical caveat. The vision is not a naively idealistic. Sir made a mention, seeming to be cruel, but he was not cruel. So something we feel, whether it is possible, certain things, appearance-wise one thing, but when you see it in depth, it will be something else. And the management, whatever the fines and all, maybe our topics are not, we have not covered everything because it's only a drop we are all covering, all three of us for that matter. It is an ocean. When we go through the original text fully word by word, we will be able to understand stringent things. We will feel, oh, Kautilya was like that, so cruel. But he was not cruel. Everything was for the welfare of the public. That's why he made a mention, 1/6, 10%, 15, 20%, 33.33. These are all generic. But during emergency periods, in case of need, they used to change it. We may think, why they have done it, suddenly they are collecting. But that is for the welfare of the state. That's how he rather concludes. Introduces the concept of Kosha Samharanam. It has to be protected. Severe measures to replenish the treasury, treasury is becoming nil or declining, depleting, it has to be rather fulfilled. Gives example, imposing special levies and confiscating property under various pretexts. Various pretexts it is confiscated now. If you want, you come for an appeal. Certain appeal was also, maybe the word and all we coin according to our period today. But the meaning is the same. You can rather go to a higher official to say what it is. You can go with 3 witnesses, 5 witnesses, like that he says. Argues this pragmatism does not contradict the welfare principle. So, though it was seeming to be cruel in the sense, but it was not against that welfare principle, but underscores the focus on state survival, without which no welfare is possible. So, getting over, financial, that is the final takeaway. It is a blueprint for a development state. So, whenever a state has to, Mr. Krishnan was mentioning how the entire research group of Arthasastra is doing a lot of work. Definitely, though not today, after a few years down the line, maybe a couple of years down the line, we can all see the changes. When the research forum gives a thing to government, they will be able to try to implement that. It explains its foundational logic, political power exists to create the conditions for prosperity. Reaffirms the core principle that the king's own benefit is found only in what is beneficial to the subjects. Many points are there. I have just taken 4 of them. It concludes that this enduring vision establishes an inextricable link between the finance and the welfare, public finance and the public welfare. So with this I conclude my talk. Thank you so much to all of you. All of you are patiently listening, though it is a topic of some other field. What sir said was very interesting, Sahitya. What he was saying was also administration. But this was slightly different. Thank you so much to all of you. And also thanks to the institution for having given me an opportunity. Thanks to the organizers and the entire team for having organized this. Right from day one when he spoke to me, from that day till now, everything was very smooth. He was very coordinating, Mr. Mohan. So all others also, but I was coordinating with him, so I mentioned his name. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
I deem it a great honor to stand before the gathering of enlightened. Our madam usually used to say, no herds, only intellectuals. The same happens here. And express our gratitude for having made this special academic event. 3 informative and special lectures on an important and ancient document of polity, Arthasastra. Dr. Srinivasan sir, Sri V. Krishnan and Dr. Saraswathi Murali. All the 3 scholars are richly experienced and experts in the study and research field of Arthasastra and its related studies. We thank them profusely for having acceded to our request instantly with an affirmation despite their personal constraints and commitments and busy schedule. Of course, as everyone was mentioning, it is a warehouse of treasure of valuable knowledge related to the scientific and authoritative interpretation of the political, social and economic ideas and institutions of ancient India. Interestingly, just only one point I would like to mention. See, religion was an inseparable part of the life of Indian people. The Arthasastra, though mainly a work on politics, does not contain any independent section on religion. That is one interesting factor. It is true that it makes reference on Vedas, emphasizes its supremacy, that no separation, and it may, of course, our director, another important factor. Our director, madam, she is a source of inspiration for all us. Again, for this seminar, see, before you come here, your proceedings are ready. This is the first time I think so. We have published the proceedings in advance. When you are attending the seminar, the book is ready with you. This is also happening, and I thank the speakers